People are strange.
Strange.
Fucking strange.
Is that strange?
That is strange.
Strange.
That is strange.
Wow, that is strange. This is strange.
And welcome back to another episode of Strange Sauna. Today is going to be an absolute steamer. We have a brilliant guest, Doenut. Welcome to the show, man.
Oh, thank you so much. What up? What up?
What up? Yeah, so hey, dude, I've been following you for a while. I'm a huge fan of your stuff. Not a lot of people out there do what you do. I mean, you notice the trends, and I must say you're like one of the first to notice the trends. And I'm talking about like the hidden occult agenda stuff. Not a lot of people are talking about it. So, I mean, I just go to you, man. I'm like, who do you go to find out this stuff? So how did you get started in this stuff, and just kind of describe what you do?
Oh, well, thank you for that compliment. I follow your show as well. So thank you so much for having me on for this opportunity. I just have been obsessed with the occult ever since I've heard of Jordan Maxwell, because he broke down stuff in my religion that I was blown away. And he said all the words right. Like he said, Elohim is plural. Him is plural for the gods. And I'm like, there's more than one God? What?
Uh-oh.
You know, blew my mind. And it really set me off on a path, but it happened way earlier, most likely, just always questioning the authority figures in Las Vegas. Las Vegas, the parents, the school teachers and whatnot, it seems that me and my friends were a little more educated than they were, maybe because we had AOL and a computer so we can read stuff. So
You had
I've
that
always just
dial-up,
been-
huh?
I was gonna say,
Right on. I mean,
school.
it was slow, but sure. I mean, eventually you got the info.
And thank you for the compliments. History doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. I think that was like a Mark Twain quote. And Mark Twain is funny. We hear about Bohemian Grove, where all the Republicans go to do some, I don't want to say the word, but according to Nixon, they were doing some same-sex attracted
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
there. And I was just like, Mark Twain like purchased that lot, and that was kind of funny as well. That when we look throughout history, the truth is stranger than fiction. That's the thing,
Right.
especially now, especially in these days, you know.
Yeah. Well, and so that's why, when 2020 came around, everybody was searching for answers like, what is going on? Why are we locked in our houses? And, that like I'm on another show called Pardon My American, and we had a mini blow up. We kind of got a little big, but then the censorship kicked in. We kind of fell off the map. And then, people are starting to do all this digging themselves. And you're seeing all of these newer kind of people, just like social media influencers that are making random videos here and there. I don't know how in depth their knowledge is, though. That's why I appreciate your channel, because I can tell you've been doing this for a while. And I mean, what really got you? What was the first thing that got you into this? I know you were saying you were kind of born in a religious family, and then you started hearing some stuff from Jordan Maxwell. Was that like, what was the first thing that he said that got you going like, what?
It was the Elohim thing that like blew my mind, because I wasn't taught that in temple, and I was just like, that's some wild stuff. And then I just kind of was addicted in 2012, listening to all the great researchers out there that you can find. Like 2012 was this sort of wake up. 2001, 2000 Y2K, sort of like
Right.
a wake up call. Then 2001, we had this 9/11 event, happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that a lot of those movements were actually put in place by government officials on the president. The president, for example, Cass Sunstein wrote this thesis or something, an article on how to flood the 9/11 truth movement with conspiracies that
Hmm.
were fake, to kind of muddy the waters. He had other things too, what to do. But there's like these little moments in history that just shake people up. It wakes them up. And 2019, 2020 was huge. Like, I didn't think I was going to be doing videos like this at all. But when the lockdowns happened, I just started making videos and they were going like 10,000 views. I was like, what? I've never seen this happen before. So I just kept talking about it and it got popular.
Hmm.
The thing is that the elites already know the secrets will be popular. They know religion will be popular as well because Henry Kissinger wrote his master thesis on Dostoevsky, and Dostoevsky's Christianity people would move into, or the secrets as well. So we're talking about power structures, people that are actually making moves, know where the mindset, the psychology of people will go. So yeah, 2020 was wild, putting
Right.
out the things. Me too. I was also
Well, do you
removed.
think it's also kind of like this hidden agenda where you have like the Bilderberg group and you have like the WEF and you have intelligence agencies kind of setting the pace of what to talk about, what's allowed to talk about, and then like planting the seeds like the Cybertruck bomber, for example, like where you have Sean Ryan, this guy comes out of nowhere saying, hey, I was emailed this manifesto type of thing, right? And it just seems too convenient to fit like this weird alien or anti-gravity, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like it's wild. I know what you're talking about. It's it,
It feels like a psyop within a psyop within a psyop, um, and it just keeps us always. It actually keeps us always divided too, because now we're divided more than ever, just because we have one side saying this side and one side believing this side. But it's almost like they constantly have to keep us in this loop, and they have to out psyop themselves to keep
Right.
things going, to the point where we don't even know what is true anymore. We just kind of, people come to you or come to us and we kind of just try to show patterns. That's what we do, is we show patterns. Some people want to look into the patterns and believe it. Some people won't,
Right. Well,
but they kind of know shit's going down. They're kind of like,
well, and that was
it hasn't added up.
yeah, and like something Donut that you just referred to is that you have these agencies inject false information into a real story to do that. What Flex you were just talking about, like the purpose is to confuse people.
Yeah.
And who had the quote? It was like, once the Americans are, or the world is completely confused and they don't know what's going on, then our purpose has been complete. You know what I mean?
yeah, I've heard that.
Or like it was like the head of like an intelligence agency or something.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, go ahead.
The Trump election is, it's quite interesting because this is a perfect example of what is going on. Like, I'm confused. It's very confusing because Trump, we just saw him just get out of the WHO, and he did this before. He went against the Rhodes Scholarship, which is this Rothschild Illuminati type, uh, really terrible type history there that's been controlling the presidency since Clinton. Clinton was the first Rhodes Scholar to get into this thing that Carol Quigley wrote about in the Anglo-American establishment, where they were controlling stuff and manipulating things through you got the Bilderberg group. Peter Thiel, he's on the steering committee of the Bilderberg group. This is like total who controls the planet kind of stuff right here. And these are the same technocrats that are behind Trump. So Trump, it looks like he's fighting the empire. It really does. But also, it's kind of confusing because why does he have all these technocrats and all these technocrat oligarchical structure being set up with Elon Musk? We just saw Elon Musk doing the Bellamy salute, which was around in the 1800s. We did it in America. It was America thing too. People have been doing that salute. But it was a actual National Socialist salute. It was that. But the thing is that the mainstream leftist media is attacking him right now, saying that he's doing it, and everybody is like, no, he ain't doing it.
Right.
They're just giving him crap. And then I can see that. I'm like, yeah, they are just giving him crap, because where were these people over the last 2 years when there was actual National Socialists doing these salutes, like the last 2 years, like 24/7? They weren't saying nothing, but now they're going after Elon,
Yep.
so it's confusing, because Elon, even though he's so pro the Jewish people as well, going to the Holocaust Memorial Museum with Ben Shapiro, we could get into a little bit of those secret societies as well. Because he fired Candace Owens on 322, a Skull and Bones date. Then Candace
really?
Owens got baptized at 322. Just like Joe Biden was medicated at 322, and Oprah stayed home for 322 days. And the 322 is the Pirates of the Caribbean. It's the Skull and Bones. It's the people who control a lot of media as well. Vanity Fair, Time Magazine as well. But I'm getting a little off course. Elon Musk, although he's super supportive of the Jewish people, he also was written in a book by one of Adolf's close right-hand man, sort of kind of thing, like a close guy, Werner von Braun. And Werner von Braun wrote this book called Project Mars. He was part of the rocket program, and it had a group named Elon to colonize Mars. Now we go back, Elon's family, his grandparents were part of the National Socialist Party, and Elon even says that he is a socialist. And his wife and his bloodline with Grimes, who's a talented artist, but she's also socialist. She reads Karl Marx and promotes it. So like this technocrat agenda that's being set up, it's really like we're gonna get into some wild stuff this year of 2025 for sure.
Yeah, no, and that's something that Flex and I have been sounding the alarm on, is that, Trump might not be who everybody thinks that he is. And there's a nice story to sell when everybody's attacking you. And I think that the attacks are done on purpose, because essentially, if you criticize Trump, you're now labeled as a libtard, or you have TDS. And it's like, no, there's actual things to be critical about Trump. And it's, it's valid. Right. And with Elon, it's just, after the July event where Trump's ear was nicked, and that's even kind of, we've speculated about that, whether that was true or not. But that's when Elon pivoted into full MAGA mode. You know what I mean? And so it's very interesting to see him kind of being right by Trump. His right side man he's joined at the hip with Trump now. And like, that never was the thing. And it's just like, what is he going to do? And you've already seen it, like in the inauguration speech, Trump was talking about going to Mars and pointed out, Musk personally. So that being there has some influence on Trump. He's the world's richest man, quote unquote, Elon. And it's one of those things where you like, he is a socialist. Like he preaches for UBI, universal basic income. He wants carbon taxes. And I think he wants a technocracy on Mars. And you were saying like his grandfather was a leader of the Technocratic Party in Canada. And actually he got kicked out of Canada. And that's why they moved to South Africa. And apparently they were over there looking for some ancient civilization ruins. Did you hear about that?
Oh, damn, for real?
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. That's probably why he has the Boring Company digging underneath the ground.
Right.
I'm surprised Canada kicked them out, because we don't kick anybody out. We let everybody in.
well, he was trying to overthrow their political party, so who knows?
Hey.
Well, I heard that Canada is actually an illusion. It's a mythology. It doesn't even exist, because really it's just the British Empire. If you look at the money, you got the Queen right there on it. And this gets left out of the conversation when we're talking about information getting put into like different things. Where my mind is right now, and it always has been since day one of my channel, I've been saying that the lockdowns are because of the crown. The crown, and a crown means the C word. I'm not even going to say it.
Yeah. Yep.
The crown locked the world down, and then it reopened back up after the Jubilee of the Queen
Right.
Jubilee in 2022. Then the world opened up, and this never gets brought up. How come everyone is blaming the Jays or the Muslims? They're always blaming these two groups,
Right.
but they leave out the British Empire, who actually activated the two groups.
And
Right.
that's why both Australia and Canada were hit the hardest during the lockdowns. I think we were almost the blueprint for the WEF. And I feel that's why a lot of my friends that watch the show, or they're all from the States, and they're like, man, we feel sorry for you because we had it the hardest, and Australia had it the hardest too. And same with the UK. So anyone who's under the thumb of the Queen and has their money, her face on the money, I felt really took a beating the
Right.
last 3 years, and they really tested the waters with us, and we fell for it. Canada's still not awake to a lot of this stuff. I mean, like as we were joking earlier, we apologize for everything, but we also are numb and dumb and
Right.
slow like molasses at
Well,
some point.
I do want to touch on what you just said, Donut, because I think that that's what they're honestly, you see this movement, this swelling to blame Jewish people now, right? You see it all over X, you see it all over, like, they are the problem. It's like, no, you're being tricked into another psyop. I think like they're trying to divide you however they can. And when you have this massive movement against one class of people, you have to wonder who's behind it. What are they trying to really do? You know what I mean? When it's selling or pushing hate, you got to be like, dude, why do I really have to hate this group? Like, what's going on?
It's when the information is omitted. So you see these groups talk about the Jewish people, whatever, like Kanye West, for example. He did a direct attack on the Jewish people. That's what he said in his quote, right? He said that. And you
Yeah.
got to make a clear distinction of people and institutions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these religious institutions absolutely are all about power and corrupt, and that's what they've been doing forever. Like, that's like nothing new. And when you implement, no, it's not the institutions, you don't make that clear distinction, which I hopefully I have always done, because I'll talk about the different, I never wanted to talk about the religious part because I'm sober, and I know how important God is to, it's a different understanding for if you're like Muslim or Christian or Jewish. Like, I'm very pro having a connection with a higher power, with God. Because I'm in sobriety and recovery, which is a huge thing because the opioid epidemic, so many people are dying from that. That's a real threat that I don't want to push people away from their own, spiritual journey.
Right.
But now I'm kind of forced into like talking a little bit about it,
Well,
And,
it's hard because if you think about the mainstream news, Trump always calls him the enemy of the people. You know, there's a specific conspiracy group that goes by the 17th letter that calls them the enemy of the people as well, right? And you look at it and you're like, well, yeah, they're telling lies, they're going after Trump. Obviously, they have to be liars, they have to be the enemy, but it's one of those things where what is behind that? Who's the benefactor of the information, and where is this going?
of the 17 group.
Yes.
It's like you got to trust the insiders of the military-industrial complex. Yeah, sure.
Right?
That's good.
Yeah.
Good
You know,
idea.
it's like so the break off faction of the deep state will actually come and save you. Okay. And that's honestly where I went wrong, because I fell into the Q trap big time, bro. Like that was
Oh, you
like,
did?
yeah, that was like my rise to whatever and how I got into conspiracies.
You rise to fame.
And I was like, I thought Trump was going to wipe out the deep state. I thought Joe Biden was going to be arrested on his inauguration day. Like it was bad.
We all did. I thought Trump would be back in by March of 2021. I'm like, yeah, let Biden have it for 3 months. And I was like, they're going to arrest people at the inauguration. You know, people were still thinking that yesterday, that arrest would happen yesterday. So,
but you
know,
see,
all those...
if you read the those posts that are on 4chan, a lot
Is
of
that
it,
where you find them? Because I've never read any posts. Really.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Well, I don't
you
even know where to get them.
You should try to do a little. Well, you do a lot of digging, but like I can send you a link. I don't even know if I want to send you a link, But
No, please do.
okay, well, it's on. There's places to read them, but they're very Masonic. Like you find a lot, and I think you would find a lot of value reading through them and telling people, hey, look, this is nothing but a Freemasonic kind of ritual here, because it's like dark to light. It talks about the keystone. Keystone is at the top of the Masonic arch, so there's a lot of different things where you go, what? And
there's this Masonic group called the Order of the Q, which is for Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah.
The serpent. So that's it's a very interesting topic, and I've always done both of the research. I've done videos and research on chaos magic. Is Trump a chaos magician? But I've also went like hard on the Rhodes Scholars and the left and the Clintons, mostly. Like that's mostly it. So I like to go look at everything from every perspective. It's good.
Right. No, I agree. I think that we get asked this a lot, like, hey, why don't you guys focus on the left more? Like, they're obviously the corrupt ones. And I'm like, well, that's the problem. They're obvious. It's not obvious when Trump does it, and you have somebody who's coming into power. It's just like if you started questioning Obama in 2012 or in 2008, right when he got in, people would look at you and be like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Leave him alone. He's the good guy.
Right. At least that's what I was saying. But I was a dumb teenager that was on the pot.
Well, he's very well spoken, and he was portrayed very, very in a positive light. And then years later, time
He's
passes.
Cool. Yeah, he's cool.
Exactly. And you're like, man, I like the way he speaks, and he's very eloquent, and his wife is very, whatever.
Right. But I was going to say, so like if the mainstream media, if you think about the mainstream media and the Operation Mockingbird, dissemination of misinformation, confusing the public before the media, like way, way back in the day, don't you think that was religion's purpose? I mean, not fully, right? Because we don't want to take that away, but they do.
Yeah, because people couldn't read. So you had the preacher like tell you what it was saying, you gotta, people were illiterate.
Right. And so that's where, when you were saying like, I don't want to question the faith because it's helping so many people. And I agree, like morality is something that this community needs and the world needs. But when you have corruption,
left, it's the ideology, really. This ideology of the left. This is what really gave me a big breakthrough over the last 6 months, was finding out what is the ideology of the left, and you can see that in the right. The right also has the same ideology as the left. It's a leftist ideology. For example, Adolf, again, because he's very popular right now. Adolf, he is a leftist. His ideology is a leftist, and people are like, no, he's not. He's part of the right. I'm like, he's a socialist. Like right there, it says enough.
Yeah, right. That's in the name.
Go ahead.
Oh no, it's in the name, like.
And I just learned this too, that he even changed the Bible. They made sure to make sure like you. So I mean that's kind of weird too. Something about like you gotta like.
The mustache man changed the Bible?
Yeah, like a lot of people know that. I didn't know that. I was like, that's wild. But also they have an occult religion. So there's always two different, there's the esoteric and the exoteric. So on the news stations, we get the esoteric. That's for the plebes like myself. I see something, that's what I'm supposed to know from the article. But there's an occult message in these big events for just the initiates. And this is how it's been in all of these different secret societies. The synarchy system. Secret societies or a conspiracy of just two people kind of conspiring to get an outcome. Secret societies have been kicking off events forever. Like, I mean, World War I was launched by the Black Hand, where they assassinated Franz Ferdinand. World War II, the Third Realm was motivated pretty much and created by the Thule Society, all about the Vril aliens.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk, I even got pictures of it. He's got a Vril staff.
Yes.
And people are like, no, that's not a Vril staff. That's just a Tibetan like staff. I'm like, well, where do you think the National Socialists went to. They went to Tibet to get the symbols
Hmm.
of, and they invert the symbols as well. So symbols aren't bad, but they mean something.
Hmm.
Well,
They speak.
that's I was going to ask you about mimetic magic because you did bring it
Mimetic
up.
magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so like that's honestly, I feel like Trump has tapped into something here with the 4chan, with the frog, with Keck, with Pepe. There is something to this frog, the god of chaos, right? Is Keck the god of chaos or something like that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's the god of chaos, and all the different gods. There's always like different ones, like Set as well
Right.
is the god of chaos, I believe. But the frog and the mimetic magic has been so interesting to me, and I was covering it a few years ago as well. I thought because I found it so fascinating how this man can rise to the most powerful position of the world, arguably
Right.
through mimetic magic of fake news, like you just memes, like 24/7 of Trump, and he became the most powerful person. Then Elon, and this is the real thing. What's happening right now is that they're pushing everybody into this new technocratic like state.
Absolutely.
This so Dogecoin. That was pumped by Elon because they got the algorithms. They got the Twitter is an algorithm to predict future events
Mhm.
and to data mine people to see where they're feeling or manipulate people through the algorithms. So Twitter under Jack Dorsey, who, launched it on 322, another 322.
Oh
If you
boy.
look it up, it will say 321, but some will say 322 because different time zones. But you'll see this 322 pop up quite a bit because it's a Mithra cult. And Skull and Bones is a Mithra. It all goes back to Mithra. Even Trump's coin right now that he launched is on Solana, and Sol is its handle, and that's the sun. That's Sol Invictus, which
Yeah.
is also Mithra too. So like, there's a lot of old symbols in the new technology, and I think it's important to know all these things. But the memes are so powerful, and they were written about by Terrence McKenna was talking about it, going back to like that. So these have been written about. The shamans were doing mimetic magic in a sense, not in a disrespectful way. I'm saying it, but what they did was the same thing, where they'll find a rock or an animal like a frog, and that would be the tulpa, that would be the meme of whatever it meant. So we see the shaman, right?
Hmm.
Today they're freeing all like the J6ers,
Yeah.
but the meme stuff's crazy. This onboarded the people into crypto. Crypto wasn't even like popular, except for a couple bull runs maybe. But Dogecoin got the masses into it. Everybody and their grandpa has some Dogecoin in their wallet. Like I got like $300 or $20. Everyone knows what like Dogecoin is
Right.
now.
Because
That's
the
leading
dog,
us
right?
into the CBDC. Even though those are cool, there's cool technologies and whatnot, but the memes are leading us into uh, the CBDC, which will put everybody on their knees.
So do you think like the numbers, like 322, they do these things? I know there was like there was a moment in one of the spaceship, like one of the SpaceX rockets, like it exploded at 3 minutes.
322,
right?
yeah, the timestamp, right?
And it's like, why do they do? What does the number do for them? Does it just like a signal to other 322 members, or do they think it actually harness some power?
I think there's two things to it. That there is this organic thing that we're kind of tapping into, like with patterns and nature and whatnot, like a Fibonacci type sequence. And then there's also like an occult agenda behind it. Like, is it a coincidence? Is it pattern recognition? Are these things planned? So that's a great point. I think it's a little bit of both. Looking into that, for example, the first Q post was on 1028, which is 128,
Right.
and that number is like associated with so much to the 128 code, and the 322, 51, there's so many different like numbers. I guess they do mean stuff. I guess it all goes back to numbers. There's this great book, I mean movie called Pi,
Hmm.
that is really good. It's by the guy who did Requiem for a Dream. I don't know if you've seen that, but it was his first film. And there's this rabbi who's decoding the Torah, and the other guy's trying to break the stock market through numbers and patterns. And the rabbi's like smoking cigarettes, and he's all like, "The Torah is one big code of numbers, sort of like it's
Whoa.
And then he breaks down how like Aleph, Bet, you plus those together, it's like Ab or something, which is dad. And then you plus like Aleph, Bet, and something else like in the numbers 1, 2 will equal woman, then 1, 2, 3, you plus those together, and the equal amount will equal child. So it's like
Whoa.
it's really like wild. Yeah, I don't know much about it, but I thought that was a cool movie, Pie.
Yeah, I mean, because like I just see these numbers like 9/11, 666, all these numbers surrounding even Trump. You know what I mean? And I'm just like,
Yeah, Trump's got 9/11 all over him. It's wild. Like,
Is it a type of energy harvesting? You know, it must be. They must use these numbers and some of these events to harvest energy. You know, it's. I think that's what I think most people are having difficulty seeing is like, even though you might not believe in it, you think it's conspiracy. They don't. And Greg and I have talked about this several times, being like, if they believe in it, then they believe in it for a reason, to pay homage to their moon cycles, their dates. They love their dates, and to harvest energy. So I was always wondering, like, what energy is going to be harvested in the next 4 years now, right? Because we have this person in power that's really, everyone is excited for him to be back in, and the other half are like, we don't trust him. And now there's people in the middle, as Greg and I were saying, that are sort of iffy about a lot of things. So it's almost like there's three groups now. Before it was kind of two, yes, no. Now there's a maybe in the middle, you know. And what does that do for our energy? You know, I think it just confuses people more.
well, I think you were on point on your last show where you said 2025 is going to be a shit show. I think you're absolutely correct there. I think it's going to be very volatile. It's going to be wild. It's going to be a wild ride,
Yeah.
especially with this eclipse coming up, because Trump has always been associated symbolically with an eclipse. So we got this big eclipse happening in March. And my prediction is that that is when things are going to start shaking up big time. We might see some volatility in the markets and stuff like that.
Wow. I'm
Yeah,
not
Yeah.
like,
looking forward to that.
well, I don't think,
We're 4 weeks or 3 weeks into January already, and we're just like, holy crap, so much has happened, especially down in the States.
but
Like,
I think that makes sense because the meme coins or digital currency, I think that is where Trump wants to take the United States, possibly the world. I think that the American dollar, they know that inflation is just insurmountable. Like you can't, it's irreparable at this point. You can't fix it. So how will they fix it? They'll bring in some sort of digital currency, make it the new standard. I did see that there was this massive contract, $500 billion over the next 4 years for a new AI infrastructure in the US. This just happened today, where Trump announced it was Project Stargate. Interesting
yes,
name.
welcome to the technocracy is what Courtney Turner said in her tweet. I thought it was brilliant. Welcome to the technocracy.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally Oracle's Larry Ellison, SoftBank, but they're talking about making pokey medicine with AI technology. You know, you had Oracle's Larry Ellison. He was talking about, it was either him or Sam Altman. He was up there talking about how AI can be used to monitor your bloodstream and find little chunks of cancer that are floating around in there. And then we can make you a personalized medicine that you can inject, and it would be an mRNA kind of backbone. So I don't know. Everybody's kind of like, what? This is the second day of Trump's term, and we're already back on this train? Like, what are we doing?
Well, Trump was also, he was the father of all that. Like,
Right.
he is the one who fathered that in, if that's a word to say.
Yeah, the good old warp
Yes,
warp technology. Yeah, so that's
Well,
you
and
know.
it's also called the moonshot under Biden, right? And
Correct.
the moon's connected to money. I don't know if those two are connected, the Bidens, but I'm sure it is. the moonshot and this eclipse, and how Donald Trump, who's the biggest threat to the world according to the Rothschilds, they show his face as an eclipse on the Economist magazine. That is the predictive programming, the priming in these issues. It's like a hypnosis technique, and it just was wild.
So what do you think? Do you think that Trump is part of either like this Mithras? What do you think Trump is? Do you think he's mixed in with all that?
Yeah, I think he's just him, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, all these people. They're not old money. They're new money. And I think they're just trying to make their name in the history books of the being like the new Illuminati, not the old Illuminati that's actually controlling stuff that we're not going to know their names. Or even if we find a lot of their names, they're not going to be brought up in any news articles. Like Rothschild will be brought up, but who are they working for? They're servants to something at a higher order. And these are like a lot of talking points that don't get talked about. And hopefully I'm doing my best this year to get wicked smart. That's what I've been trying to do, is get wicked smart to figure out what is going on.
Heck yeah, dude. Yeah, because that's like I did a 4-part series before Flex joined about like Trump possibly being the Antichrist. And I did like, I just looked at Donnie Darkened. I don't know if you know who that is. Sure. He kind of, I think he goes by Donnie Discern now on X, but he had all of these posts that were just lining Donald Trump up to be either the Antichrist himself or ushering in the Antichrist. And it was just like a lot of numerology, but then there was a lot of like symbology with the moons, like the blood moons. He has so many blood moons surrounding him. He was born on a blood moon. And he was born on a blood moon the same year in 1946 when Jack Parsons went out to the desert and did the, what was the ritual?
Yeah, the Babylonian workings, the Scarlet Woman, and they create Moonchild.
The Moonchild, right? And he was born on a blood moon. And so it's just like things like that, kind of superficial. But if you add them all up, there's just so much that there's this mountain of evidence that's kind of pushing him towards that direction. And I don't know, it is kind of a touchy subject because even if you say that, that's one of those trigger words where people go, oh, you're just calling him the small mustache man. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. That's why a lot of my information sometimes I've been taken privately because a lot of people just aren't ready. Like when Elon Musk was jumping up and down, I was like, it's Elon Moloch. I'm like a Elon Molochian or something funny like that because he was doing the symbol. And I've never been so, I don't want to, like, I was so like,
chastised.
People were just going at me, and it was overwhelming the amount of support for Elon that I actually took down the post. I was like, I'm not trying to wake people up. I'm just doing my thing. Like, this is fun for me. This is what I'm passionate about. If y'all want to listen, great. And it was kind of getting out there, so I just took it down. And so I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
right.
And the inauguration happened on 201. And it was during this big moon, and I got this tweet that I screenshotted that Homeland Security put out, or FEMA put it out, or somebody did, talking about how this moon, this red moon during Trump's second inauguration was like really bad or something. I'm looking for it, but
so was that real?
It could have been fake. There's so much fake news out there.
Well, I mean, I don't know, because honestly, I was looking up, when's the next blood moon, and it really just turns red when it's an eclipse, right? A lunar eclipse. But it could have been like I was kind of pushing back on that. Some people were sharing it. I'm like, I don't.
Oh, so you saw that too?
Yeah. Okay. It was definitely, it was like a blood moon right around the Capitol building. But going back to Trump's inauguration, I know you did like a Patreon episode about that. So whatever you want to share.
It was great.
There's a lot of symbolism.
I'm on a world tour right now with my good friend Christopher Green at AMTV. He's been telling people to buy Bitcoin super cheap. I used to work for him for 10 years.
Right.
And So he's my old boss, and that's how I know how to do YouTube so well. And he covered geopolitics, so I kind of understood a lot of stuff. So while I was producing videos for him, I was into like the occult stuff. So I was like when the Las Vegas event happened at the Mandalay Bay, and there's some more numbers there. Like
Right.
Mandalay Bay was built on 3/2, March 2nd. It happened on the 32nd floor, 3/2. And the first Masonic Lodge in Vegas is also Lodge 32. So the 32 could be switched around, be 23. And there's a whole movie by Jim Carrey, the 23 Enigma.
Yeah.
So the number of
Exactly.
things is wild. But that episode, because I'm on this tour with him right now, we're going like all over the place. That's why I'm not in my studio.
I get you.
And right now we're in Utah. But he was telling people I was going to all the crypto events with him, so I know so much about crypto and blockchain and all that. I just never talk about it, but I know like a lot about it. So in that episode on Patreon, we kind of went into a topic. I'm not really sure if we can talk too much about it on here, but I'll try to work my words around.
Okay.
There's a movie called Leave the World Behind.
Yep.
And it's about pretty much a grid down scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And that was produced by the Obamas. There was a book called 1 Second After that was released way before Obama was in, I think. Maybe it was when he was in or way before. And Newt Gingrich told all of Congress to read it. Kind of like how all the social media influencers are telling all Congress to microdose now.
Oh, wow.
Same type of agenda. But the greatest of all greatest of, like, I'm using words so it doesn't get like caught, reset, is the internet outage.
Right.
Even during the most watched television show ever in history, where more eyeballs were watching the Super Bowl halftime show, right when it ended, it said broke the internet. That's priming. They're priming us for an event where the internet out. And this is talked about. This is what that reset is. So they can reset the internet. So download all the stuff you can and back it up, like books and all that. That's a
Well,
good
and
thing
the Super Bowl is coming up, right?
it sure is, right?
The
I
end
don't
of
know much
February.
about it.
Well, and that's, going back to those 4chan posts, so there's a post on there that does talk about this is going to be bigger than the Super Bowl or something like that. I don't know. So maybe.
Oh, weird.
And
okay,
it does.
Send me that link so I could look into it, because I'm sure there's some predictive programming in that.
Dude, yes, there is. And honestly, I feel like, and I've heard other shows talk about this too, but I feel like those posts will start to come true to validate Trump and make him and that movement look like, yes, the Patriots have been in control this whole time. So we are going to like lock in, our feet are planted. We're going to just be supporting him, 100%. But it talks about, there's one post that says like Google's like down, disconnected, Yahoo's disconnected. All of these big search engines are down. And it's going to be like this massive event, which makes sense. If you think about trying to bring in this one world order, you cut the internet cables, because I think a lot of the internet is subterranean or like in the water, like through the ocean, like these large cables. If you cut those and you sever those, you just rely on Elon's Starlink, right? And that's how you, right? And that's how you create this one world internet, is you have satellite systems. And Jeff Bezos and all of these other people that are shipping rockets up, I think that they're trying to create their own satellite systems to compete in the future with Elon.
So Christopher and we put together this big video on the LeMay papers of 2017, like in 2017, and it went over all this with the different space type lasers and stuff like that. So a long time ago, so when I did that Patreon video, we kind of went into it a little bit. Plus, we talked about a bunch of other stuff and all that. It's kind of hard to talk about these topics though on publicly, because it's a risk of
things getting taken down.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
is this what you think everyone's waiting for? Is the 10 days of darkness, Greg? Is that what that is? Is the internet will be down?
Who knows?
That's one of the biggest posts that anyone who follows any of the plan,
Right.
we're watching a movie type of scenario, is the 10 days of darkness.
Yeah. Who honestly, like, it's all up in the air, man. Like, there could
And the
be
dark winter, isn't that part of it? And we're like the
Mhm.
coldest winter right now or whatever.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So,
the 10 days of darkness. Okay. Interesting.
dude,
Yeah, I
I'll
need
send
to
you the
get
link.
caught up on it. I need to keep on it.
I just don't know if that stuff's still being tracked by the government. So, like, who knows?
Something weird with the numbers though is like the Satan, they say 10. Say, like, you know, so it's like you're saying 10, so it's like say 10. So I don't know if there's something there with that too.
Maybe. You never know.
The thing I gotta talk to I forget his name. Oh, he's so wicked smart. He's like dang it, I wish I remember his name. It might pop back up, but he was explaining the difference between misinformation and disinformation. So misinformation, it means I just messed up. I said there was a red moon. Because I thought there was, you know, misinformation. Disinformation's when you're omitting some information out. It's all truth, right? But you're omitting out a little information and leading you to take an action.
Mhm.
So the disinformation agents, what they do is that they'll give you all this truth, but they will omit other information and then have you take an action. So that's sort of my big lookout for stuff going along with these different like 4chan stuff and
Right.
whatnot to look out for.
Yeah, no, and it's like it has intent behind it, right? Disinformation has an intent that they want you to willfully go commit something, right?
Yeah, it's all about the action that they want you to take too. Yeah.
So Trump's inauguration, there was some symbolism around that. I know Melania looked like the Hamburglar slash, a Mortal Kombat character. She looked like
her hat looked like Saturn. That's what it looked like.
It was a Saturn.
Know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
It really did. I was like, oh, see, but this is stuff that I'm learning because I'm more superficial. Like I came to the podcast because I like bring up all the stuff that most people just surface wise, you know, and then Greg is so good with same with you, Doenut. And when I let it out last night in our private group, they said, what's on for today's show? And I said, well, we might have Doenut on. And they lost their shit. They were like, what?
They were happy? Oh
boy, yes. Oh yeah. They were
Nice.
super. I said we may not go live because we're going to record it and stuff, but you know, yeah. And yeah, so I noticed the superficial stuff. So I love learning about all. That's why I'm very quiet and listening to all this, because this is a learning experience for me, because I'm the guy that looks at the very you know,
Right.
versus the aha.
Well, and there's a lot of
underneath.
people like that, you know, and that's why I think Donut's channel is so freaking valuable. Because,
Yes, and we have quite a few people that were super excited. They were like, "No way, how'd you get him?" And I said, "Hey, Greg works his meme magic."
Y'all got a great show. Y'all got a great show.
Oh, well, I appreciate it, Donut.
And
But
I know my audience are gonna love it too.
right
So,
on, man. But yeah, like the Saturn thing, that makes sense because I heard Trump talking about the golden age so much, and I'm just like, what the heck? And when you look up the golden age, like Saturn ruled the golden age, and I'm just like,
wow.
what is this whole Saturn worship, Saturnalia? Does this go back to the Roman thing that like Elon did?
Mhm.
And
I
like,
got to talk to Jordan Maxwell, and he kept bringing up the Saturnian age, and he showed the federal edifice of two towers collapsing, the two pillars collapsing to bring in the Saturnian age. So it'd be interesting to see if that golden age is there, because I think even Manly P. Hall talked about it, who did Secret Teachings, and people like Reagan was working with Manly P. Hall for his inaugurations and whatnot, like for his when he became governor. And they're very similar to Trump, Reagan, and Trump, especially if you watch the Reagan movie. It's just like you're watching a Trump movie.
right.
Mm.
The time that he got elected governor, got sworn in, was at an exact occult time that Manly P. Hall set up for him. So like you do got like times and dates, they're definitely important. I don't really know why. I should know why if I'm looking into this stuff, but Saturn I know quite a bit about that symbolism. So that hat, you can see it in all different religions too. All the religions do a lot of astrotheology in the religion, and I don't think that takes away, and I don't think that's blasphemous to say. Like Passover is like passing over into springtime. Christmas is Saturnalia, right? Like you want to like make everyone happy because this is like super cold and miserable time as well. The 12 apostles, there's the 12 zodiacs, there's just so many different things. The Saturday, why do I go to temple on a Saturday? Saturday's named after Saturn. And Sunday, you go to like church on Sunday, the sun. Like I think there's something there, and
For
I don't think
sure.
that's a bad thing to say. I think it's interesting. It could be totally wrong or whatever, but that's I think it's interesting. And Saturn is the cube. So you'll see a lot of like posts, like it's one of the main posts that people post, like, oh, they worship Saturn, that's Satan. Like it's a cube, but the cube is in every religion. Like every single religion has the cube in it. But so the Pope wears a Saturn hat. They call it a Saturn hat. I don't know, forget what it's called. It's like starts with the C. You can just look up Saturn hat and it pops up.
So do you think the cube, does that go back to like Freemasonry?
Saturn. No, it's Saturn.
It's literally Saturn. But so
it's the hexagon right on top of the Saturn. Like the North Pole of Saturn is a hexagon. It's a cube, which is the Star of David as well. It's a hex, and sometimes.
But
Jordan
why?
Maxwell said,
why worship a planet because of the? You know what I mean? Like it just seems weird. Like
how do they even see it?
Exactly.
Do they even see that? Yeah.
It's like what? Like they could maybe see a planet with rings back in the day, but I don't know. They must have had a killer, telescope or something.
You see that cube everywhere, like Nintendo Cube, the two squares.
Trump Tower.
Tower has one. 9/11 Memorial has it. Like there's all these things, and it's. I always find that interesting, being like, like you just said, how do they know? How do they see this? And maybe they just don't. Someone wrote it in a book at some point and said, this is what we're going to follow and this is what we're going to do. But there's a lot of interesting. I want to get your take on the Bible, what your thoughts are on, because some people were saying, Doenut in our group, was it because he was inaugurated or sworn in the day before because he wouldn't put his hand on because it's the corporation of the U.S. that's now defunct, that he's ties with Israel and he's, converted to Judaism. So what's your take on, or his wife didn't get up in time because what's his
Roberts.
name? Like you guys talked about on that show, Greg's other show yesterday, being like, oh, she just couldn't get up in time. But what's your take? What's on that? And the reason why I'm asking you this is because everyone was like, can you ask Doenut this one question, please? What's his take on the? Oh yeah, what's the take on the Bible thing? Because I actually texted Greg right away and I said, Greg, he didn't put his hand on the Bible. And Greg was like, really? I go, yeah, because I looked for that. I was looking for everything yesterday, but I saw that.
Yeah, no, that was interesting. Why did he do that? And there's so many different great theories on why. Like you're not supposed to put an oath or swear on the Bible. I guess that's the scriptures. And I didn't know that. So what a wonderful find. Some people are saying, oh, it's because he's not going with the corporation. So he's not going to do that. The corporation of the United States, not America, because it got turned into a corporation. And you need a president to run the corporation. That's why we got the president. And then it's like, well, maybe this is some evil like agenda. Like, why isn't he doing that for the American people? Like, you're not like. So my take on it first is, I don't know the Bible, but I do think that the teachings in the scriptures in the Bible is great for a good life. What I've learned from it, like the Sermon on the Mount, I say the Lord's Prayer every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in recovery, and if you like live the way like Jesus, like what he taught and teachings, I'm very for that. But I'm not an expert. I haven't like read, and I'm not someone to say what is in it and what's not in it. Him not putting his hand on it, it I guess we're just gonna have to see what happens, sort of. I'm
Yeah.
confused. I'm so confused.
Well,
Because
because
he
he
did
did
in
it in
2016, right? In
yes, yeah,
2016, he did.
yeah.
But that's when it was the corporation of the United States, because apparently now it's the Republic. Like, because I woke up in 2020 and I lost a lot of friends when I supported Trump in 2020. Up here in Canada, people thought I was nuts. And I was like, no, there's this child trafficking. There's a lot that was going on. And then a couple of years ago, like Greg, I kind of just started thinking a little more discernment on things, not to be, first of all, I don't think you should put anybody on a pedestal. Like, I say to people, just trust in your family, yourself, and God. That's it. But yesterday, it was very, like, we were all in the chat going, oh my, because I sent out the photo to everybody immediately. And immediately there was all these different answers. So I'm saying the same thing. Let's just wait and see what this actually means.
Right.
Maybe it's, it's nothing that we're even thinking about. Who knows?
And
Well,
Trump, he makes some wonderful power moves. Like just watching, I've watched his because I worked for AMTV news station, so we covered the entire election from day one when he said that he was going to run. I went to the rallies and filmed and all that. So I've been studying and watching every power play that he's done, good and bad. And right when he got elected into office, he had some delicious chocolate cake with Chi Chang Pang. And right when he did it, he striked Syria and took out, not like a massive campaign, just took out like one or two people that are like in their military. And that was like a power move that I thought was psychological for Chi Chang Pang, because that's like a real power structure. And who's this Hollywood Democrat Trump, that is now in power? Like, and then it showed like Trump's ready to play dirty if he needs to, like, he's not. And so it kind of showed like, this guy, this wasn't his first time he put a hit out. Like it showed like he was totally cool. He's like, I'll do it again. And I thought it was a brilliant power move. I'm not saying it was a right thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying through the lens of rising to power. And then he also invited Chi Chang Pang to the inauguration as well. Now, this is what's interesting, how there's so much psyops going on.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know this, but George Soros was kicked out of China. And George Soros's open society, the biggest threat to George Soros's open society is Chi Chang Pang's China and Trump's America. No, that's left out of the conversation because everybody wants to be mad at China and blame, that could be a total psyop as well, which is the conversation that people don't want to have. Like I bring it up and then but it's just like, like let's ask these questions. Like it's crazy. Yeah, there's a lot going on, like that and like this goes back to the Hammurabi Code, like these power structures. It goes back to the Venetian Empire and Venice and all that. Like it goes back. So it's a lot of work for me I got to do to learn. But yeah.
Well, yeah. And when you look at Donald Trump and his upbringing, like he was in construction in New York City. So that's a lot of power in general. And, like he might be new money right now, but back then he sure was old money because you got to play with mobsters. You got to do your due and stay alive to get things done and get things constructed. And he's had businesses with casinos. He's had stuff, with a lot of different hotels and a lot of different failed businesses. But then,
Roy Cohn
I was going to say his connection to Roy Cohn, who is just like, if you ever watch Who or Where Is My Roy Cohn, the actual documentary.
That was a great film. Yeah.
Dude, like the guy was wicked,
Oh yeah. Total. It was all about power. Like he was all about power. He was same-sex attracted, blackmailing people that were same-sex attracted. And there's a great movie you got to watch if you like that. The Apprentice, the
Right.
new film.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if you've seen that.
You saw it?
I have not. It's actually on my list.
Gangster.
Okay.
It's like Casino. It's
Yeah.
like, it's not putting Trump in the best light, but it was filmed like Casino. It was a great gangster movie. If you like
Okay.
gangster films, like Casino,
yeah.
the good ones, like
Yeah.
Scorsese's stuff, like it showed so much. Like it was good. It was great. Yeah, like
Right. And there's always that like hint of, well, it was a Hollywood movie, so how much is it actually like real? Or are they trying to make him look like I honestly feel like if you were a big Trump supporter and you watched The Apprentice movie, you wouldn't believe a lot of it, you know? But the documentary itself, like,
that was good.
You know, the Roy Cohn was doing push-ups and sit-ups in his room filled with frogs.
All the frogs. Yeah,
Right,
that
it's-
makes me think that the frogs is a symbol of like, yo, we got something on you. And that's one of the big things we're going to hear about over the next 4 years is cyber espionage, because that's another way the world actually is operated, is through espionage, blackmail. Like you got the Epstein kind of stuff. Maybe I shouldn't have said that word, but
It's all good.
We're all,
yeah. Go ahead.
we say everything on here, or I do, and Greg has to give me the signal. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, hey, there's a business to YouTube, and it's just, you know, it's unfortunate.
I mean,
but
something that Greg and I talked about a few episodes ago was, and you touched on this, Donut, was it's almost like it's a rebranding. It's like the New World Order and the Illuminati have gotten new publicists, and they said, you know, we got to just change things. We got to put different people in place. You know, like, do you think a lot of these stars are going to go down? Do you think there's going to be a cleanup to satisfy us and help with this rebranding? Because, you know, Trump will say we have freedom cities, and now you have the smart cities. So it's almost like they're choosing certain words to just help rebrand, because that's basically what it needs. I think the Illuminati needs to be cleaned out, as you were saying.
Right.
Maybe not the 13 bloodlines. Like I we're at a point now where I'm kind of like, yeah, there's a publicist involved here. Like someone is being very specific on how they word things.
There's a lot of families left out of those 13.
Yes, exactly.
And
but we talked about it being
not sending shade or anything on that book or whatever, but the rabbit hole goes much, much deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the whole Trump election was a cathartic experience for the right to let out some steam. And I think Biden getting in was a cathartic experience for the left to let out some steam.
Yeah.
And now Trump getting back in, it's a cathartic experience again to let out some steam.
it's balanced,
Even
dude. That's what it is. They're trying to balance it
I think
out.
that the whole freedom of speech thing on Twitter right now is just a cathartic experience as well, to let out some steam, but also it is an operation to track and trace people.
Exactly.
You know? So
Yeah. They're finding out who's really saying what, and then we'll catch you in the future. And
you're the media now. Say whatever you want.
Exactly.
Like, it's free. Freedom of speech. Say it all on our platform that is connected to an algorithm, AI Grok, you know, that is connected to like our phones, like the AI and the technology that we have right now. It's so advanced that it will blow our minds if we really know what was coming. Even with this new technology that's coming out, where they can, I don't know too much about it, but it's called Game B. I'm going to ask Courtney Turner's like the expert on it, but it can like hijack your aura as well. These new technologies, like why? Like it goes like really.
I bought 2 dog toys today, and I took a picture of it, sent it to my friend, and he was wearing his AirPods on. He has an iPhone, and he just called me up and says, it read out the message to me saying 2 dog toys on a kitchen counter that's black. And I was like, what? Like, and he's never had that before. He goes, and I said, did you just update your phone? He goes, not that I know of, but it knew exactly what it was and where it was taking.
yeah,
and
it's
it read
the
it
Apple
out to him.
Intelligence, you know?
I was like, this was just today. I was like, oh, okay.
Dude,
You know,
And then there's the lights too. So that's the whole thing with the smart cities and whatnot, like the LA fires that happen as they're promoting the 28 smart cities, which was planned out in 2020 during the lockdowns. And then they have the Super Bowl with Snoop Dogg. Then they have the Olympics with
Right.
Snoop Dogg. And now Snoop Dogg's opened up the inauguration. And everything's pushing us to Cali, which is also some secret society stuff of the Thuggy, where Thug Life comes from, which is this secret society that would just massacre people. and for the god Kali, right? So Kali, thug life, thug. It's just like, what is going on here? And everybody feels, sad now for California, which, it's very sad and tragic. And this is all for the 2028 Olympics. The 2028 Olympics, everybody's there. Now, everything around downtown LA will be the command center for the tower of the smart city.
Right.
And then everything around it's burnt down because California wasn't built in a grid. It was built on hills. It was all this different stuff. I'm in Arizona, so I'm already in a smart city. There's still some problems with that because there's old structures that I think the people that whoever that is that are building this system would want to get rid of, even though it is a grid of self-automated cars driving like already. Like I live in a 15-minute city already. Like
scary, man. It's scary.
Phoenix. Yeah. So that's where it's all going to is one of the big things is they need to replace all the light bulbs with LED lights because the LED lights, they're communicating as well to stuff. So maybe the LED lights can see what's going on, kind of like Batman.
Yeah, I was shocked by how it knew. And I message him text him all the time. But today it was, and I said to him, "Did you just update your phone? Like, what is this?" He said, "Not that I know of."
Dude, I think that's Apple intelligence. Honestly, like with the new Apple phones, you have this Apple intelligence that's built in, and it will read out your messages, describe pictures with AI.
Yeah.
But going to those light bulbs, those
Even
LED
your blood pressure too. Like your blood pressure.
It's like,
sweating.
what? I don't want you to know this stuff about me, but biometrics, here it comes. But the LED lights, I was listening to a podcast that was talking about how the LED lights can actually control people and make them more docile, make them more inhabitable to specific pressures, forces. Like,
So Men in Black, you know how they did a flash of the light bulb?
Right.
That's a real thing. Like it seems like it's fake and they replaced the memory. That's called optogenetics. And they're able to replace memories of rats and mice and put new memories in, like a Mandela effect with the LED lights. Optogenetics, it's like a real thing. And they could also rub Dorito, like yellow dye 5 on the rat skin and shine like a blue light. All these blue lights are popping up everywhere. And you can see through the skin and maybe you can see whatever's in like underneath their skin sort of with the blue lights. And it's just weird that can happen.
Exactly. Yeah, that was
These
a big
are all mainstream articles.
Yes. And so it's like one of those things where you have the blue lights, like what's in the person's skin? Are they tagged, with a certain
Well, didn't Trump say that using UV light to detect stuff? That the same day that he said drink bleach, which he didn't say.
Well, I mean,
he did talk about a UV light to detect viruses.
It was a system that would go into your actual blood, your body, and destroy pathogens using UV light. So it'd be like this little capillary system that they would put down into your lungs, and then they would shine
like
the light.
Red light therapy.
Correct.
Kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, so Doenut, I mean, it's been an hour. I want to respect your time, and I'm already late. So, dude, I love that you came on the show. I love that you reached out. That was awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you both. I'm very grateful. For
last words before we get out of here. People have to watch their back in 2025. There's going to be something coming, maybe in the Super Bowl. Make sure you download everything off the internet so that way you have it on a file.
For sure, yeah.
What do you
y'all got to
suggest?
come up on my podcast too.
Oh, for sure.
Heck yeah, dude. We'd love that.
I didn't wear my bullshit goggles tonight. I usually wear sunglasses. They're my bullshit
I saw
goggles.
that. Yeah, I'm happy you didn't.
Yeah, I just took them off and said, "All right, let's talk about this. See my beautiful eyes."
There we are.
I like them.
So, before we get out of here, so Doenut, where can people go find you? Where can they support you?
You can find me on YouTube for now, and it's Doenut. It's DOENUT. Thank you so much.
Okay, and then Patreon. Do you want to support the Patreon?
You can go to the Patreon as well, and I put out exclusive content over there as well, and that's patreon.com/Doenut.
Heck yeah.
DOEUT. Yes.
You guys go check it out. He has a lot of stuff that's not on YouTube. It's not on Rumble. It's not anywhere. So go check it out. Support him. All right. Well, yeah, everybody, thanks for the show. Thanks for watching. If you like this episode, hit the thumbs up. If you're on audio, hit the 5 stars. Flex, any last words? Oh, his Zoom does this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much. When Greg said he was going to reach out to you, and then you said you were going to be on the show, I was like a kid in a candy store. It was awesome. It was awesome. And all our supporters yesterday, I was like, hey, I shouldn't really tell you, but I'm going to tell you. But this is who we have on tomorrow, and they lost their marbles, you know. But you know, we like to support everybody and everyone, you know, same vice versa. We're all in the same game. We're just trying to educate people, use discernment, entertainment, you know, whatever it may be. We're all here to help each other with whatever we need, and sometimes it's just support.
Yeah, amen.
We're here.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you guys again. And until next time, everybody out there, stay steamy.